what's up guys, it's LEGO Hobo 910 here with another LEGO video. And in this video, I'm reviewing set number 21315, the LEGO Ideas pop-up book set. And this is a really unique and interesting set, as it is part of LEGO Ideas, which, in case you didn't know, is fan-submitted sets that then have to get 10,000 votes and then go through a review by LEGO staff in order to make it into the production stage to becoming a real set. And they're always very unique. This one especially, as it has some weird mechanisms, as well as just being odd, and I've never seen anything like this in LEGO. So I'm going to stop rambling about it and show you by looking at the set here. So here is the main, and depending on what you count as separate builds, it could be the only build or one of a few builds, which I'll explain when I show you kind of the functionality of this set. And overall, I really like the outside look of this. I like the dark green and brown combination, and also all three of these are printed. They're not stickered. These I wouldn't mind so much if they were stickers, because those wouldn't be too hard. This would be a pain in the butt to put on as a sticker, though, but luckily it's all printed, which means there's no stickers in the set. And on the back, they just have this plain brown panel, which I think looks pretty cool. And also down the spine here looks fairly nice as well. The one small nitpicky complaint I have is that you can see all the hinges here. There's really nothing you can do about that. I also like that they used tan for the pages instead of white. It just makes it look kind of more realistic, as well as making it look weathered, which I feel kind of fits with the whole dark color scheme. I also really like the use of these quarter circles for the corners here. Just adds a little bit of extra detailing. And now, this here doesn't look like a $70 set. It is a fairly sizable, realistically sized book, though it is a pretty thick book and also feels odd being such a solid book, but that's what you expect, it being made out of LEGO. And also, I'm actually fairly fine with it having studs on the top here. I think it just adds a little bit to it, making it look more LEGO-y. I don't know, I like that. They could have covered that in tiles, but personally I think having the studs there does look pretty cool. So anyway, this doesn't look like a $70 set, but when you open it, you'll see that there's a lot more to this book. That it is indeed a pop-up book, which is why it's titled Pop-Up Book. Now, the mechanism it uses here is pretty clean. As you can see, it just has that bar that can slide through here, as well as being able to freely rotate, which then allows it to all fold in half like this, being hinged in the middle as well. And there's also 4 places for other scenery. These two, which are the same for each of the 2 stories, this one being Little Red Riding Hood, and there's also Jack and the Beanstalk. And then 2 places for additional other interior here. So now let's take a closer look at this specific story. So, I kind of like that it's actually just too thin. Obviously, it needs to be only 2 studs thin in order for the mechanism to work. But it also creates kind of this look of it being a theater or play production type thing, which I think is pretty cool, kind of imagining it in that way. And once again, another tiny little nitpicky complaint, other than being able to see the hinges on the inside as well. There's a gap here, but once again, there's really nothing you can do about it just by the way the mechanism works. As you can see, they fold down into that gap, so once again, nothing really you can do about it, so it doesn't really bother me. But anyway, this looks pretty great. It's fairly simplistic, but does the job. I especially like the fact that they mixed in 2 different colors of yellow for the roof. Just, I don't know, makes it look less plain and boring. And also the way that they built these pillars slightly set back was pretty interesting, without just not even set back as much as a jumper plate would be. It's just very subtly set back. And then you have these 2, this one gold window more like, with the 2 different opening components, as well as the large chimney here. I wish they would have maybe added like a bit of smoke there, but then, once again, it would bump there, so there's really nothing I can do. There's really nothing you can do to fix that. Maybe you could fit a singular ice cream piece, but it would likely get knocked off a lot. Then it also has the opening door to step inside the story here. And inside here, you have the inside of the house, obviously, with all these kind of grayed, awkward gray bits everywhere. But they did manage to put some interior design here with the small fireplace, which connects to the chimney. And once again, there's just little bits of white through the chimney, so the back doesn't look as good. But then they also have these 2 different small pieces that connect there to really flesh out the inside. First, you have what I think is the least useful. It's just a little table with a teapot and a cup. Okay, it just adds a little bit, but it's really not useful. Also, I'm not sure if I like the whole use of tan for the base. Obviously, it could match, you know, as like being on a book page, but I think if they used dark green, it would have looked much better because it would have blended into the floor nicely. So anyway, there's really not much going on there. Useful of the two. I also like the color scheme. The reason it's the most useful is because it's actually functional, which is something you rarely see with Lego beds. You can just take the grandmother here and slide her in. Obviously, her head has to rest on the headboard, which isn't too comfortable. But it does the job, and it looks fine. And then also, you know, you can slide in other minifigures if you so wish, such as your other grandma figure that's totally not a wolf. And that's about it for the story of Little Red Riding Hood. But then we also have a second story, which is Jack and the Beanstalk. So now let's go look at that one. They're also very easy to switch out as they just connect the Technic pin into a hole here. You do have to slightly line that up in there, but it's really not too hard. Then they're easy to pop out, and then these are just connected with some bricks with studs on the side here, making it very easy to switch out the stories. I have switched it out so that way on the inside here we now have the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, which I think is even more satisfying to open because of just this one mechanism. Now, you ready for it? Boom. This one has a lot more height, and obviously, as you can see, if it wasn't for that mechanism, it couldn't fold in properly. But it just uses this really clean mechanism with this rope on this lift arm. As you can see, the lift arms just bend when the rope's not pulling, but then when you open it, it tightens the rope, pulling up the lift arms. So not only do you have the nicely folding center, but you also have that which pops up and just adds a lot more height and grandiose to the whole opening of this. And also, another reason that I like the Jack and the Beanstalk build is simply because of the way it plays with scale. It has all these little micro-scale houses, then obviously up there is the giant's house, and they use a normal minifigure for the giant, and then this really nice micro-figure for Jack, which we'll look at later, and it also comes with an extra one of those, as it always comes with extra micro-figures, except for sets like the Hogwarts Castle, where it has like 20 printed micro-figures, though it does come with extra plain micro-figures. So, overall, I really like this one. There's a lot less to explain and look at, and a lot less features, though this does spin this windmill here. But just the whole opening and closing with the Beanstalk popping up is really cool, as well as kind of, you know, making it feel like the Beanstalk is just growing and popping out of nowhere. Overall, yeah, there's a lot less features, and also the back of the Beanstalk and castle doesn't look too great. The back of the hillsides and clouds doesn't look the windmill. Other than that, it looks fairly fine from the back. Also, there isn't anything that goes on this one. And then the rope mechanism connects there, but I don't know what you would put here, so I'm fine with excusing it. So, yeah, this one definitely has a lot less to explain, because there's just less features, but it is my personal favorite. Now let's go take a closer look at all of our minifigures. The cast of Little Red Riding Hood. We have the grandmother, the big bad wolf in the grandmother's clothes, and the title character, Little Red Riding Hood there. Personally, I think the wolf is the most interesting character, reusing that wolf head from the Halloween CMF series, as well as I just like the way that it kind of plays off of the grandmother figure, which is fairly basic. We'll look at her first, and then I'll explain how the wolf plays off her. As you can see, the printing is nothing too extraordinary. I do like the slight, dark pink striping going through there. And then it's just fairly simple, like I said, with the blue bow. Nothing much going on in the back. There's also the one face there for smiling, and then no dual face, though you can now see that face a bit better, which has the nice gold glasses, which I quite like, and then just has this gray ponytail piece. So now moving on to the wolf, you can see how they kind of contrast. I also like gold glasses. You can see them broken down the nose there, because obviously they don't fit, as well as having a little bit of lipstick right there, which I think is kind of funny. Apart from the obvious of just it being ripped, and you can see the wolf clothes, but we pop this off, you can see the top kind of breaking in the broken bow. I just really like how it plays off of the fairly generic grandmother figure and just makes it, has this interesting touch. I don't know. I just find it a unique figure and think it's pretty cool. And then finally we have Little Red Riding Hood here, who uses that big blue skirt piece as well as a red cape. And then she reuses the hood with hair in a recolor from Lloyd's from the Lego Ninjago movie. She then has this slightly rubberized basket piece, which has two identical printed cookies. And then you can't really see her face print or torso print right now, so I'm going to take off all the excess, that way you can just see the basic minifigure. Here she is now stripped down to the basics. Overall, the torso print, once again, isn't that amazing. It does the job and works well, though. I also like the way that when you get the skirt on there, you can see that the flower pattern for the side of the skirt kind of flows up into the torso, as well as flowing over onto the back. The excess skirt and everything, it's a fairly generic minifigure, but then these really bring it up. My personal favorite piece being the recolor of Lloyd's hood hair combo. Here we have the minifigures and microfigure, well, I guess minifigure and microfigure from Jack and the Beanstalk. I especially like the giant, mostly, I guess, well, I really like both of them. These are my personal favorite minifigures from the set, but I like the way that the giant's torso kind of plays with scale, where they have those huge barrels printed on there, as well as the goose and the golden egg there. Then moving around to the back, they also have some Lego skulls, as well as a barrel there, which are actually fairly to scale with the microfigure there, which only has printing on the front, but it's fairly nice printing as well. It's kind of simple, which is to be expected on a microfigure. It's hard to print on microfigures. Then, the giant's face print there is a fairly simple face print, but I like it, and it does the job. So you can see no alternate face. You can see the back torso printing a bit better now. Overall, a fairly simple minifigure here, but I like the way the torso plays with scale. And also, having a printed microfigure like that is just lovely. And the fact that you get an extra is also a great bonus. Overall, I really like this set. It has some pretty cool minifigures, as well as having a unique concept, which is executed well. Well, it still looks great. It's not like they sacrificed the look to make it functional, or sacrificed functionality to make it look cool. It functions well and looks cool, and it's just overall a really great set, and kind of a testimony to why LEGO Ideas is really cool, because you get things like this that the LEGO company would never create, and I don't think would ever come up with, and even if they did, what line would they sell this under? Because, you know, they have their specific lines, their licensed themes, and then themes that they came up with, like City, but this doesn't fit under any theme. Things like this can only work if you have LEGO Ideas. So, I'm gonna stop rambling, and overall, I really like the set. I highly recommend you get it. As well as, it doesn't look as big as it actually is on camera. It's a fairly sizable set, especially when you have all of the stories to go on inside. Plus, it's also just really fun to open and close it repeatedly and watch the mechanism work. That's all for now, and bye.